everybody, it's Maria from cardbomb.blogspot.com, and I'm here today to share with you a watercoloring tutorial. Before we get started, I've got just a couple of tips for you. One is to always use watercolor paper or shimmery white paper when you're using watercolor. Don't be afraid to play with the amount of water that you're using when you watercolor. You'll get a greatly different effect depending on how much water you use, so make sure to play around with it. I recommend starting with lighter amounts of color first, because you can always apply more color. Once you've started applying color, it is difficult to lighten it up though. The last thing that I wanted you to know is that it does make a difference whether you are applying your color to dry or wet paper. If you are applying color and you want it to blend, your paper really needs to be wet. So if you, for example, are trying to blend a yellow and a pink together for a look like this, you would need that flower to be wet. If you're trying to go for a more layered look and you want the second color to sit a bit more on top of the first, you need your ink and your paper from your first layer of color to be dry. And then when you add the darker color on top, you'll be able to see more of a layered look, as you can in this flower. And in some of these greens between the flowers, you can tell that I've let it dry in order to get a more saturated effect with the colors that are in the top layers. And that's it. Those are my tips for today. I'm going to get started on my tutorial, but please, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message or leave me a comment below. Alright, let's get started. I've already heat embossed my flower today. I heat embossed this in gold embossing powder from Stampin' Up! And the colors that I'm going to be using today are Daffodil Delight and Melon Mambo. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but every single one of these flowers was done using only two colors, Melon Mambo and Daffodil Delight. So you can see the color variations that you can get if you put an emphasis on more on one color rather than the other in each flower. So let's go for it. Let me show you how. You're going to need an aqua painter, and the first thing that you do with this process is to give your flower a healthy coat of water. And today I'm going outside of the lines because I'm pretty sure that when I use this I will be fussy cutting it, and so I want the color to go a little bit out of the lines, which might seem crazy, but believe me, it's worth it. I'm going to start with yellow. And don't be particular, just go for it. Like I said, I'm going outside of the lines today. And I'm going to dab my aqua painter off on some watercolor, or on a paper towel over here, and pick up some Melon Mambo, and I'm just coming in from the other side. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of work on the stems and the petals. My favorite two greens to blend for this type of watercoloring are Lemon Lime Twist and Emerald Envy. I'm just going to hit it first with a little Lemon Lime Twist, like I said, going out of the lines so that when I fussy cut it, I don't have a stark white contrast. Now I'm going to hit this with my heat tool, just get it a little bit drier. I did use the low setting of my heat tool just because I didn't want to make the cardstock really hot and I didn't want to warp my paper at all. I'm going to add a little bit more water and just go back in with a little bit more color where I want it to be darker. I'm going to add a little water here, and I'm going to try and go for one of those sort of sorbet looks right here. Yeah. You can go back in and use the fine tip of your watercolor brush to add some details in darker colors or brighter, more bold colors. If you do it while it's wet, like I just did, they're just going to bleed back together though. So if you want it to be more precise or not to bleed, make sure that your ink is already dry. And that's it.